Hi, welcome to the Keeping It Real Estate podcast. I'm Allie Vasquez with Karis Realty Group based out of Frederick, Maryland. Let's talk about one of my dear friends. We'll call her Vivian, and her home that she chose and how we managed to almost get me murdered in the middle of the night, number one, and also get her a brand new septic system. I've told this story in different bits and pieces, but it needs to be known that it goes all together in one story. So Vivian and I have been friends since high school. Vivian was actually renting my condo after I moved out of it, and Vivian decided, I want to buy a house. And she said, I want to use a USDA loan, which means 0% down, and when you buy with a USDA loan, it has to be in certain areas that are approved. I can link below the map so that you can check and see, they're usually definitely it's USDA, so it's places that were formerly agricultural and only certain properties qualify. But she said, I definitely want a USDA loan because I want to live as far away from people and as close to farms and just nature as possible. And her budget was a little bit challenging at that point, but we finally managed to find the house and we were all excited. And so we had asked for a septic inspection and a well test. We were saying, maybe we won't get a septic inspection if we go into the house and everything kind of looks okay. Maybe we don't need to spend the extra money on it. But we're at the actual inspection and one of the neighbors says, hey, psst, come here. Like, huh? Come here. We go over to the fence and he's like, check the septic. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, this house has a lot of problems. Check the septic. Now, when he says this house has a lot of problems, I was like, no, but it's renovated. It looks nice on the inside. Like, what are you talking about? And he says, check the septic. So at that point, I can't remember if I don't think we had enough time to check the septic, but there were some plumbing issues. And so I decided to call. I saw something in the house that said that they had used Roto-Rooter. And so I called Roto-Rooter. And I think it's Roto-Rooter or Mr. Rooter. No, it was Mr. Rooter. Right. I called Mr. Rooter Plumbing and I was like, hey, I just wanted to know, what's the situation for the plumbing problems at this address? And they were like, they sent me a detailed report of when they had spoken to the seller and they had told the seller that this house doesn't actually have plumbing problems. It has septic problems and he needed to replace the whole septic system. They had sent me that whole transcript or detailed report of them telling him this and him saying, nah, I don't really want to spend that money. So I was able to prove that the home had a latent defect that they were not telling us about. The seller was super pissed. The listing agent was pissed, but not in the same way, just like, damn, and we could have gotten away with it. It wasn't for you pesky kids. And so we managed to get the entire septic system completely redone. We're talking re-drill the field. Everything in the septic was redone. Now, I've told this story before. I've told the next story before. What people don't know is all in the same transaction. So at the same time that all this is going on with the septic, we find out that the well has some issues and it's normal run-of-the-mill issues. I believe it was nitrate. So basically meaning that it was close to farmland. There were lots of cows shitting around there and some of the cow shit got into the water. Now, what are you supposed to do with that? I think it's just a UV light. So with this problem in the water, we had to pour bleach down the well so that it would at least test clear enough for us to be able to continue with the purchase. And then the seller had to do a couple more things that were more water intensive. It's not that big of a deal, but I had to pour bleach in the well and make sure that because the seller said that they weren't physically able to go out there and do it. So I went in the middle of the night because I didn't want anybody to catch me. This is going to be a theme. You're going to notice that I go in the middle of the night to these houses and I'm like, wow, what if I actually were to get caught? Like, I'd be here in the middle of the night and my children are at home and I'm, trespassing. I wasn't really trespassing. I was trespassing. So sue me. But I'm here. I'm not trespassing to try and destroy the transaction. I'm trying to make it work. And so I was there I was trying to pour bleach into the well, but I didn't have, I got to the well and I didn't have any of the tools I needed. And I was trying to hold a flashlight and look in my bag and to be able to unscrew all the things. And then all of a sudden somebody says, need some help there? And I look up and there's an older man there who looks like, what you would see, kind of in Deliverance, no teeth, very old. He's just pops up out of nowhere. It is pitch black outside because we're in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, hey, are you supposed to be here? And I was like, well, not really, but I'm like really trying to help the person who's buying this house. And, and he's like, okay, I'll help you. And so he comes over. Then he's like, let me get my wife. And so he brings his wife over. She's a similar vibe, a similar look to her. And all of us are just sitting there trying to unscrew this well. Somebody's holding the flashlight. Somebody's unscrewing. I'm holding the bleach. We all worked together and we made it work. I went from being terrified for my life that somebody was going to kill me with a shotgun or, just simply smother me, or, you could just throw me right down there into the well. But we made it all work. And thanks to those neighbors who Vivian says to this day are really great neighbors and always looking out for her, we managed to take a property that wasn't going to pass well inspection and was certainly not going to pass septic inspection and get everything done for us. And, all it took was a little bit of snooping, and a lot of trespassing for us to be able to make the transaction work. And Vivian still lives there to this day. So thank you for coming to our podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.